this the end? Is this the end? I'm burning in the stone There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone What have we done to the world? What have we done to the world? I'm burning in the stone There's no place to hide. I'm burning in the stone This is the final
What up, everyone? Welcome to The Cult. This is a show that I stream Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on a good day. I have to apologize for being late. I mean, I know I always arrive on time, but my glasses got up on their own and walked into the bathroom and sat themselves down on my bathroom counter. And I went to start streaming and I was like, where the heck are my glasses? And so then there was a mad dash to try to figure out where my glasses had escaped off to, but luckily I found them. I'm like, I can see. The first obstacle of the stream has already been accomplished. So guys, we've got a really jam-packed day today because this is not going to be like the only stream we do today. We have a very special event coming up a little bit later on tonight. And in case you guys don't know, yes, my glasses were stolen by the glasses fairies. It's true. It's true. In case you guys don't know, tonight we have the latest, the greatest infiltration known as Spy Stream. Spy Stream is a little thing we do on my channel when I manage to finagle my way into getting access to a secret, private, leftist training or event of some sort. And tonight, round about 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, maybe 7:45-ish p.m. Eastern Time, round about that time, we are going to be going inside a live socialist organizing call. We don't get to do the real far left live stuff every now and again. Like we don't really get to do this all this often. So this is a spy stream that you really don't want to miss. And what makes spy streams so fun is that you really don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. You have no idea. Maybe like we have had spy streams where they figured out in the middle of the spy stream that I was recording them, and then they cancel the training and they stop it all, and I get some sort of like copyright takedown notice or something like that. We've had spy streams where they figure out I'm recording and then they basically nod at me and wave and then they keep going. We've had spy streams where they've tried to kick me out entirely and prevent me from recording it because they found out ahead of time I was recording it. And most of our spy streams just go off without a hitch. And sometimes we get them to say the quiet part out loud on video, and then we make that shit go viral on the internet to expose what the left says behind closed doors when they think people like us aren't listening. So really, anything can happen on a spy stream. If you guys have never been to a spy stream before, I definitely recommend that you check it out. because it's just a lot of fun. And the way you get access to Spy Stream is becoming a member on my Substack. Of course, I am doing a membership drive to try to get up to 100 new supporters on Substack this month. And you can sign up for either my Actively Unwoke Substack or my How to Speak Socialist Substack to count towards that goal. But if you want to sign up for Spy Stream, it has got to be the Actively Unwoke Substack, okay? Because the How to Speak Socialist thing is separate. It'll count towards our goal, but it will not get you access to Spy Stream. Spy Stream, like the How to Speak Socialist thing, is a special standalone, special edition thing that does not combine with anything else. If you want to join me for this live infiltration that's going to get started in about 2.5 hours, then you want to sign up at Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. Just go to the Spy Stream post and it will have your ability to do so, and underneath this red box you are going to find your access information for the Spy Stream for tonight. The links have already been sent out. Now, if you are a member on my locals community or my Patreon or a Twitter subscriber or even a YouTube channel member, you will also find the access information for Spy Stream on whatever platform you're a membership on. So again, this is for my Actively Unwoke Substack, my locals paid supporters, my Patreon supporters, my Twitter subscribers, and my YouTube channel members. All of you guys have access for Spy Stream to come and join us live tonight. And if you don't get a chance to join us tonight, just follow the links in the post and you will get access to the recording on demand. I also do end up usually making clips of the recordings available if something interesting happens. You know, nothing interesting might happen. It really might not be that interesting. Sometimes we've had Spy Streams that we thought were going to be really interesting and just it turns out to be much ado about nothing. Most of the time stuff happens, though. That's just what happens when you're spying. You don't know if you're going to run into something. You don't know if you're not going to run into something. But it's kind of cool being there live just in case something does happen. And so that's going to be coming up a little later on tonight. But we've got some other stuff to get us to entertain us in the meantime. And we are going to be returning to our old friends, the Denver Communists. Now, what I will say about the Denver Communists is I actually ran into a whole group from the Denver Communists at the Socialism 2023 conference when I was undercover at it. The Denver Communists have some of the coolest t-shirts I've ever seen. Honestly, they're really, really cool. I posted a picture of them, I think, on my Twitter a long time ago, and so people can probably search my timeline for that. But the Denver Communists have legitimately cool t-shirts. The Denver Communists are members of something called the Firebrand Collective, which might be a hint for what we're infiltrating later today. I'm just saying. The Denver Communists are a part of something called the Firebrand Collective. The Firebrand Collective is a loose affiliation between the Denver Communists, the Seattle Radical Revolutionary Socialists, and the Boston Revolutionary Socialists. And this is what I try to explain to people when they ask me, like, well, Karlyn, how does the left organize? Who is the leader on the left? The left organizes in a very decentralized way, where they all have their own things in their own local locations, but then they coordinate with each other through these different kind of alliances and collectivist groups and stuff like that to work together across the country and to share resources and to share ideas. It's kind of like a mastermind group sort of thing. And so the Denver Communists work with the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists, the Boston Revolutionary Socialists. We are intimately familiar with the Seattle Revolutionary Socialists because they're the ones that do the Red May stuff. Anyway, the Denver Communists say the quiet part out loud all the time, and they've got a lot of content on their YouTube channel, and we've watched some of that content before. But one of my community members, shout out to Stony Baloney or Human Centipede, whatever he's going by these days, he sent in this to me earlier today. He said, Karlyn, did we ever watch this Introduction to Social Reproduction Theory from the Denver Communists? And I was like, I don't think so. And he said, it's pretty good. And I was like, well, let's watch it later today then. And social reproduction theory, for people who don't know, social reproduction theory is essentially the basis for why the left wants to abolish the family. And so hearing communists, especially the Denver Communists, because again, they say the quiet part out loud all the time. Hearing the Denver Communists talk about social reproduction theory will give you a much better sense of how these people feel about the nuclear family, why they want to abolish the nuclear family, why they're attacking parental rights, how they view parental rights in the grand scheme of things. This is all going to be talked about in this presentation. It's about 24 minutes long, and so we're going to be watching that. And I also found this video on their channel that we haven't watched yet, The Role of the Family Under Capitalism. I thought that might be a good one to watch. These are a little bit older. This one is from 2020, so this is about 4 years old. This one right here, and then this one is from 2022. And then if we have time, I did find this video that's only about 17 minutes long, imagining a socialist future with the Denver Communists. This was delivered in 2021. So, not too old. I don't really like to go like super far back with communist stuff, although we can do that sometimes. But it's recent enough that this probably still reflects their views. Like a lot of this stuff on what they envision for a socialist future, abolish the family, gender ideology, queer theory, whiteness, white supremacy, all the like abortion, all these things usually don't change all that much, and so it's not really a problem to go back and watch presentations that are a couple years old, because it still gives you good insight into what these people believe, because their ideas are extremely consistent. And so that's what we're going to be watching today. Has anyone in the chat never watched Socialism with me before? Let me know. Let me know if you're completely new to watching socialism. If you've never joined me for a Socialism Saturday, this is going to be more Socialism Saturday type content than I usually do on the cult. But sometimes that's okay, because it's important to introduce new people to socialism. So let me know in the chat, either on YouTube or Rumble, if you've never watched Socialism with me before, and we will do our best to kind of bring you along with us on this journey into the left. Couple announcements in the meantime. Of course, we've already talked about my Substack, which is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. We got a lot of new content up on the Substack, including I uploaded the podcast from a Twitter space that I did just the other day, where I had an amazing conversation with a whole bunch of people on Twitter about the real goals of the woke left in terms of abolishing capitalism, how that overlines with whiteness and anti-racist stuff, gender ideology, attacks on parental rights, abolish the police, nuclear family, all that stuff. And it's a 2.5-hour conversation, which is a little bit longer, but it was a great Twitter space, and it's a great episode. And this is all part of my basically calling out of James Lindsay. Because yesterday I made, well, maybe a couple days ago, but we're going to say yesterday, I made like the formal declaration that it is time for James Lindsay to step up and defend his ideas intellectually and debate me. And this is not a debate on whether or not I have a personality disorder, which of course James thinks I do. I and every psychologist I've ever spoken to thinks I don't. This is not a debate about whether or not James has struggle sessioned organizations to remove credit for my work, because he obviously and clearly has. We have the receipts for it. This is not a debate about whether or not James well, no, it is a debate about this. It is a debate about whether or not James is correctly informing his audience. That is what the debate is about. I have listed 4 specific grievances that I have with James Lindsay's work that are intellectually based. James just wants to make character attacks. I'm not going to make character attacks on James. I'm not going to do things like say, James obviously and clearly has a traumatic head injury, and we know that because he talked about it on Joe Rogan one time. I'm not going to do stuff like that. I am going to say that we're going to put all the insults aside. We're going to put the ad hominem attacks aside. And I'm going to act like the adult and say, I have intellectual grievances with your work based on watching thousands of hours of leftist training. And since you refuse to behave like an adult, James, now we're going to start calling you out on it. And so I'm doing this thing on Twitter now where every single day, not that one, every single day, I'm just going to do a quick update about whether or not James is still talking about me, whether or not James's audience is still smearing me, and whether or not James has accepted the debate. And as of right now, you know what? Yesterday, James's audience called me a narcissist for demanding a debate with him. James's audience called me a stalker for demanding a debate with him. But do you know what they didn't do? They were not able to argue any of the intellectual criticisms that I made of James Lindsay. And that's really the point. That is the point of all of this. And so I would like your guys' help with this. If you are on Twitter or X, whatever, and you want to share this post and you want to tag James Lindsay in it, and if you follow James Lindsay, like maybe go into his replies with this post and be like, James, can you please have an intellectual debate with Karlyn about the left? Because really, like, you should be able to discuss ideas about what the left is, and you should be able to deal with primary source evidence. We're going to be nice about this. We're not going to insult James like he's insulted us. We're not going to tell people to block James like he's told people to block us. We're not going to do any of that. I want people tagging James. I want people retweeting this stuff saying, when is James Lindsay going to engage in an intellectual debate about his ideas? Why can't James Lindsay intellectually defend his ideas? Why can't James Lindsay grapple with primary source video evidence of real socialist and Marxist activists in the United States? Why can't he defend his work in the face of incontrovertible primary source evidence? So I need everyone to be involved in this. If you guys want to see this happen, we have to put on a pressure campaign to make it happen. The more James gets mentioned on Twitter, the more people go into his replies and demand it, the more pissed off he's going to get. And the more pissed off he's going to get, the closer we get to getting what we want. Okay? Reagan says, James, this looks like a good opportunity to debate Carlin. It will be strictly intellectual, so why not do it and put this all to rest? Exactly. Why not do it? What is there to lose? It's an intellectual conversation. I'm not going to hurl insults. I'm going to come with primary source evidence and receipts, and then people can decide for themselves what they think. So if you guys want to see that happen, please make sure you are tagging James on Twitter. Please make sure you're tweeting that out, because this will never happen unless people pressure James into doing it. This can't come from just me. If it comes from just me and you guys are expecting me to fight all your battles, our battles for you, it's never going to happen. So everyone needs to step up. If you have a Twitter account, I don't care if you only have 2 followers. I want to see you posting this. I want to see you retweeting this. Put it in your own words. I don't really care. But share it out there. Tag James. Put it in James's replies. Send it into James's DMs. Very nicely say, James, we would really like to see you debate Carlin. It's time. Like, put that, you could even say, put that bitch in her place. I don't really care. The point is that, yeah, this is not just my struggle. This is our struggle. This is the number one obstacle that we are facing right now in terms of getting people to understand what the left actually is. It is the people who are lying about it to millions of people. So if you believe my work is important, if you believe that more people need to see my work, if you believe that James is lying to people about what is going on, which I think I have proved emphatically by now, then let him know. Demand a debate. Demand we have an intellectual dialogue over this. Because I promise you guys, if James doesn't cut the shit, the left is going to win, and it's not even going to be close, and there is nothing that I can do about it, because he is actively gatekeeping my work from being seen by more people. This is the biggest obstacle that I have to overcome, is the bullshit from the woke right who are gatekeeping this information from their audience. And this has been true for years. People who have followed me know how many stories are not covered on the right, how many things would absolutely outrage all the conservatives, all the audiences, if people actually knew what was going on, because it's so much worse than people think it is, and no one is telling them. And people like James Lindsay are one of the reasons that no one is telling them. So if you've had it, you need to speak up, and you need to use your voice, and you need to use your Twitter accounts to let him know. And that's just the way it's going to go. Kazmar said, thanks for the live Substack today. Yeah, I played around with live video on Substack today for the first time. That was pretty cool. Substack has launched live video features now. I just tried it out earlier today. So make sure you download the Substack app. Make sure you update the Substack app on your phone if you need to, and join me for a live video every now and again on Substack. I don't know exactly how I'm going to use it yet, but I do plan on using it. Let's see. Next up. Hey, this is just kind of an interesting thing. This doesn't have really to do with anything, but I just want to let kind of like the old time viewers on my channel know this. It's kind of an interesting thing. So I know not everyone knows about the saga of Keri Smith. If you want to know what the saga of Keri Smith is, then head over to my Substack, survivingkerismith.substack.com. Keri Smith was essentially the perpetrator of a years-long smear campaign against me, and it got so bad that I created a whole Substack documenting it so I could actually just send it to people and show people what was going on. I'm not going to go into the whole story, but I had an interesting person come into my inbox today, And they DM'd me this post that Keri had made with a woman named Little Ragamuffin. And this is from, I think, earlier today. And in this post, Keri says, I'm with the lovely Little Ragamuffin who got mobbed and canceled in the sewing world and falsely called a racist for her sewing pattern. Now, I'm familiar with who Little Ragamuffin is. I knew who she was. But what was really interesting to me was the message. The message said, FYI, the story Keri is talking about, her being mobbed and canceled, was made up by the two of them in the Telegram groups. They had dozens of fake profiles pretending people were trying to cancel her. Some of them, they were pretending to be black women and woke people attacking them. None of it was real. It was all made up for clicks and attention. Now, the reason I bring this up, so this person, and I've talked about this before, this person got in touch with me a while back because they are involved in a lawsuit that involves Little Ragamuffin, in which there was discovery in the lawsuit that required Little Ragamuffin to turn over screenshots of all their Telegram chats as part of the lawsuit. Eventually, I am going to get access to all of those screenshots. I've already been promised this. I just have to wait for some legal thing to happen or something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I have been promised that eventually I am going to get access to all of the screenshots in which the reason they reached out to me specifically was apparently I was like massively targeted by them in these Telegram groups, which is what I always said was happening. And I could never prove it, but I always said that this was what was happening with that years-long smear campaign that almost drove me to the point of suicide. And now I'm going to get access to it at some point. And apparently one of the things that we're going to see is Keri and her friends coordinating and concocting a fake cancel mob in order to gain internet clout. Yes, they organized a years-long harassment campaign against me. Yes, that's exactly what happened. Keri's ass is going to be exposed when I get this information. And guess what? Do you guys remember? Hang on. I promise we're not to spend too much longer on this, but let me hang on. unsafespace.com/defamation. Do you guys remember when Unsafe Space sued Keri for defamation or threatened to sue Keri for defamation? This is the show that Keri used to be on. And then Keri got fired as a co-host of this show, and partially because she was obsessed with me. And so then Keri went on a smear campaign against the co-host of the show as retaliation for her getting fired. And the co-host of the show basically threatened to sue Keri for defamation if she didn't cut the shit. Well, guess what? The same person that sent me this DM also said, Carlin, there are also all these DMs coordinating this smear campaign for this guy named Carter. Do you know anything about this? And I said, yes, I do know something about this because Carter Laren is the person that sent the cease and desist order to Keri Smith demanding that she cut the public bullshit. Because Keri did exactly the same thing to Carter as she did to me. And guess what? We're going to have all the fucking evidence of all of this from their private fucking Telegram groups, and there ain't shit Keri can do about it. There is not shit Keri can do about it. And Keri, if you think I'm not going to drag you all over the fucking internet and expose you for the years of hell that you put me through, you thought this Substack was bad? You thought the fact that I collected thousands of your screenshots where you were acting like a raging fucking lunatic and lying all over the internet was bad? Just wait until I get access to screenshots from your private fucking Telegram group, bitch. Just wait. Karma was always gonna get you, Keri. It was always going to get you. I am never going to forget about what you put me through, what you put my husband through, what you put my friends through, how you tried to destroy my fucking community, how you tried to destroy my work, how you destroyed my reputation with like half the fucking internet because of your bullshit lies. You tried so hard to silence me, bitch. You tried so hard to silence me. It didn't work. I got through every single thing that you threw at me. And now karma's coming back, and karma's going to bite you in the ass like you've never been bitten in the ass before. And Keri, there is nothing you can do to stop this. There is no smear campaign that you can run on me because you've already thrown everything at me that you possibly can, all because you were jealous that my platform grew when yours didn't. You wanted to be the Democrat that left the Democratic Party in 2020 and became the conservative fucking darling. That went to me and not you, and you never fucking let it go, and you had to try to destroy me and lie all over the fucking internet about me, and it's about to all come back and hit you right between the fucking eyes, and I'm gonna enjoy every goddamn second of it. So, that's coming. That's coming. And you know what? Even if that wasn't coming, I will say, it's not as though I'm not already vindicated. It's not as though I haven't already achieved vindication. I have an amazing community. I have an amazing platform. I have so many people supporting my work, and I really appreciate you guys, but I just want to give a big shout out to everyone that has been with me from the beginning with all that bullshit to Keri, because you guys came through some shit with me, and I really, really appreciate it. What's the relationship between Keri and James Lindsay like? Yes, they do know each other. They're very good friends. They're very good friends. In fact, Keri is the reason that James Lindsay believes I have a personality disorder. Because the same people that ran the smear campaign with Keri are the ones in James Lindsay's DMs telling him I have a personality disorder, telling him all this bullshit about me. Same exact people. Same people. It's always the same people. It's always been the same people. It always goes back to that bitch. Every single time. All because she's jealous that my platform grew when hers didn't. Too bad, so sad, Keri. Too bad, so sad. I think that's about it. I think that's about it for right now. I think that's about it. We do have some more stuff coming soon, guys. Remember, please make sure you are subscribed to my Substack, which is Karlyn, KARLYN.substack.com. And that is going to be the best place to get email updates. And we're going to go right into it for today. We are going to go right into our session about social reproduction theory. And again, I just want to do a quick check. Has anyone in the chat not watched Socialism with me before, or is anyone in the chat relatively new to watching Socialism with me? Please speak up if you are. This is not to make you feel embarrassed. It's just, it's very, 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 very important that we understand the new people who are here, because we will do our best to help bring you along and answer any questions you have. Just in case this is confusing, watching Socialism for the first time can be a bit overwhelming for people. And so please speak up. Let us know if you're new. It's going to help you out. Orthodox Boomer Grandma, I'm new and I appreciate your work, and I'm a former shrink. Oh, Orthodox Boomer Grandma. Oh. This is a psychological, Keri Smith is a psychological case study in dissociative disorder or possibly borderline personality disorder that got targeted at me. You can talk to Everyday Therapist about it. Everyday Therapist is also a shrink. She watched all this stuff happen too. Fun times. Well, you know what, guys? Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And that smear campaign very literally did almost kill me. Very literally did. In fact, that was the goal. They were flat out saying, and I've had defectors from that were involved in that smear campaign come to me to apologize. And one of those defectors told me that the goal was literally to get me to off myself. That's what they were trying to do. But whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I got through it. I am still here. And now there is nothing those people can ever do to hurt me again. So I win, they lose, and it's all about to come back and bite them in the ass. And I can't fucking wait. I can't fucking wait. Anyway, let's get into our real orders of business. We are watching the Denver Communists Intro to Social Reproduction Theory. And let's see what they had to say.
Got a little slideshow for you.
I really do enjoy that the Denver Communists based a presentation about Abolish the Family on The Shining. I mean, that's really creative. That's really creative. Look at this. If women's liberation is unthinkable without communism, then communism is unthinkable without women's liberation. Okay, what does that mean? Pop quiz for the chat. What does this mean? Communism is unthinkable without women's liberation. What does that mean? How does that apply to social reproduction theory? Does anyone know? How does that apply to social reproduction theory? If women's liberation is unthinkable without communism, then communism is unthinkable without women's liberation. How does that apply to social reproduction theory? If the abolition of the nuclear family is tied to capitalism, yep, but what does that mean? They're trying to eliminate the gender binary, yep, but what does that mean? Come on, I know you guys know the answer to this. Communism liberates women from the unpaid duty of raising the family, i.e. the next generation of proletarian workers who will be oppressed under capitalism. They have to abolish the family to get rid of capitalism to have communism, yup. And women do the unpaid labor of child rearing and childbirth, exactly. Women's liberation entails the abolition of the nuclear family, which is necessary for abolishing capitalism, yes! Well done. It is freeing women from the chains of capitalism, i.e. the nuclear family. If women aren't free, then none of us is free. It's about freeing women from being mothers and reproducing capitalism. Exactly. Because women are in control of the means of baby production, yes, but this is about liberating women from being required to produce said children. Women's liberation allows for freeing women from the family. Exactly. Women must be freed from the confines of their reproductive roles as the unpaid caregivers of the next generation of proletariat. Exactly, exactly. Disrupting the social system of capitalism by setting women free from the patriarchy and unpaid motherhood. Exactly. You guys are doing a great job. Alrighty, let's keep going.
Inessa Armand, a Bolshevik who established the department of the department of the post-1917 Communist Party devoted to women's issues, made the following observation. If women's liberation is unthinkable without communism, then communism is unthinkable without women's liberation. Neither is possible without the other. For Marxists, gender and sexual liberation has never been viewed as only the concern of women, non-binary, and LGBTQ people, but the responsibility of all revolutionaries as central to liberatory struggle. Marx and Engels provided a skeleton of theory around gender oppression and social reproduction that Marxists have and continue to add flesh to. They stood for women's liberation from the start and understood it to be the core to the fight for socialism.
Women's liberation is core to the fight for socialism. That also aligns with what you guys just said. Why is women's liberation the core in the fight for socialism? Because they need to abolish the nuclear family in order to achieve socialism or communism, because the nuclear family is where capitalism and capitalist values are reproduced. And so you can't get socialism and communism without abolishing the nuclear family. In order to abolish the nuclear family, they need to liberate women from being the unpaid caretakers of the children. In order to liberate the women from being the unpaid caretakers of having and raising the next generation of proletarian workers, that's where abortion comes in. That's also where attacks on the gender binary come in. My Mars is in Aries.
In the Marxist analysis, of primary importance is how humans interact with nature and each other to make the things we need and want.
Yeah, so my Mars is in Aries. I am an Air. Okay, so we need to do astrology for a second. Back up. I am an Aries sun. I'm a Leo moon. I'm a Libra rising. My Mars and my Venus are in Aries, and my Pluto is in the first house. That's the big thing. My Pluto is in the first house. That's why I can make people feel my energy anytime I'm mad. That's why if I'm mad at you, you will feel it in the depths of your fucking soul. But I also have a lot of Aries, and I have Leo. I have a lot of fire. This is why I come across as more masculine, because fire tends to be more masculine. I'm more fiery than like 99% of the people on the planet. That's why. Anyway.
That's economics, how we plan, cooperate, and organize ourselves to produce stuff. We consider that most fundamental to human society, how we get by, how we make things, and the social relations involved in making things. We call those the relations of production, how humans organize to produce and reproduce their means of life. Most importantly, who controls that process and who produces a surplus. The dominant ideas and institutions of society, like government.
Well, this is a good question. Since Mao and Stalin did not try this, do modern Marxists not consider them to be true believers? It depends on the Marxist. But what I will say is, we don't actually hear modern socialists of any variety talking about Mao. We very rarely hear modern socialists talk about Stalin. Very rarely. Most modern socialists that I do know that have some adherence to like the old like philosophers, they're more Leninists than Stalinists. Leninists hate Stalinists because they think that Stalin basically fucked everything up. But we never really hear them talking about Mao, do we? The only people we hear talking about Mao are conservatives. It's not that, like, I mean, I guess maybe every once in a blue moon I've heard them mention it, but really, the people that modern socialists in the United States talk about are Marx and Lenin. And those are the two big ones. For the most part.
Law, religion, morality, and culture arise from and enshrine the relations of production. The way things are becomes the way things should be, must be, and have always been. There's one fight, one struggle, one fight, because all of our social problems share a common root in the mode of production, capitalism.
All our social problems share a this is why we fucking love the Denver Communists. Hang on. I need to record that. All of our social problems share a common root, and that is capitalism. Again. Everyone's paying attention, right? Everyone pay attention. No more astrology.
Things should be, must be, and have always been. There's one fight, one struggle, one fight, because all of our social problems share a common root in the mode of production, capitalism. Under capitalism, human labor power is focused on making commodities to be sold for profit. Labor power itself is commodified in the process, and it is the only commodity that is produced outside of the circuit of commodity production. Marxist social reproduction theorist Titi Bhattacharya says, if labor power produces value, how is labor power itself produced? If labor produces all wealth, who produces the laborer? What kind of processes enable the worker to arrive at the doors of her workplace every day so that she can produce the wealth of society? Many of these processes happen inside the home: eating, sleeping, relaxing, emotional care, play, study, etc. The home is a primary location for social reproduction, but many happen outside of it. education, healthcare, transportation, recreation, shopping, etc. This is the focus of social reproduction theory, the paid and unpaid activities necessary to create, maintain, and restore the commodity of labor power. We can delineate production and reproduction in various ways, but they cannot be fully severed from each other. Capitalism relies on both the labor used to produce commodities and the labor used to produce people. Mm-hmm. It integrates both profit-making and life-making into a single unitary system. Marxists locate the source of gender oppression in the role of the working class family as a reproducer of labor power for capitalism, and in women's unequal role inside it. And not just women, but gender nonconforming and LGBTQ people as well, as gender and sexual oppression affects all. Capitalism offloads social reproduction onto the working class by tasking women primarily with the reproduction, maintenance, and regeneration of the workforce, often while also performing waged labor. Unpaid, typically feminized caregiving labor is vital to the functioning of capitalism, which privatizes and atomizes the labor and the costs associated with raising, nurturing, and maintaining workers. This is why the liberation of women and gender nonconforming people is predicated upon the overthrow of capitalism and its replacement with socialism.
Okay. Oh my God. I feel like I could clip this entire presentation. That was the most perfect fucking abolish the family clip in the history of thank you, Denver communists. Thank you. We love you. We appreciate you, Denver communists. Why didn't we this has been on the internet for 4 fucking years? Not just that wasn't just saying the quiet part out loud. That was saying the quiet part in the most overt, aggressive, and yet also succinct way you could possibly say it. Yo, we love the Denver communists. Okay, let's go back. We're going to take that one by one. Because I had to clip it, and now we're going to take it one by one. Okay, so first off, all of our social problems share a common root, and that is the mode of production of capitalism. So what that means is every problem in society is created by private property ownership. Private property means your ability to own a home, your ability to own land, your ability to own an apartment rental that you rent out as a landlord, your ability to own a private business, whether that business is big or small, your intellectual property, your parental rights. Anyone? Parental rights, that's what this is all about. And your individual liberties, all of that counts as private property ownership. Private property ownership is the result of it results in all of the problems we experience in society, from racism to gender inequality to transphobia to environmental problems to energy problem. I don't know. Every single problem to problems related to crime, every single problem comes back to capitalism. And then it says profit making requires life making. If labor power produces value, how is labor power itself produced? What does that mean? How is labor power itself produced? What is the answer to that question? How is labor power itself produced? That's a pop quiz. How is labor power produced in our society? Enough arguing with Autumn. Please stop fucking arguing with Autumn. Pay attention. The nuclear family produces labor power. How? How does the nuclear family produce labor power? Don't overthink this. How does the nuclear family produce labor power? No, guys, you are overthinking. Thank you. Children. They're having children. That's what that means. How is labor power produced? When women, or birthing people as they might say, when women have children, Autumn, shut the fuck up. When women have children, that is producing labor power. When I say the nuclear family produces the next generation of proletarian workers, what I mean is the nuclear family produces children that are going to be raised with capitalist values, and eventually those children are going to go into the workforce and be oppressed under capitalism as workers and laborers. That's what that means. You guys don't need to be fancy about this. Please keep this in mind. Don't just regurgitate my talking points to me. This is the focus of social reproduction theory, the paid and unpaid activities necessary to create, maintain, and restore the commodity of labor power. What does this mean? This is another pop quiz. This is, see my dog's chiming in here. This is the focus of social reproduction theory. The paid and unpaid activities necessary to create, maintain, and restore the commodity of labor power. What does that mean? Don't overthink this. Don't make this too hard. What does this mean? The paid and unpaid activities necessary to create, maintain, and restore the commodity of labor power. Motherhood. Motherhood. That's it. That's what that means. It means parenting. It means having kids and doing everything that's required to take care of and raise kids. They're talking about, they're talking about women having children and becoming mothers. That's exactly what they're talking about. That's it. It doesn't need to be hard. And then moving on. Capitalism relies on both the labor used to produce commodities and the labor, literal labor in this case, used to produce people. That means having children. Labor to produce commodities means workers being oppressed in the workplace under capitalism. The labor to produce people means literally birthing and raising people. The people are the means of production. This is what I keep saying. Like socialism and when socialists and communists say that they want to control the means of production, it's not about the factories. Most stuff is not even produced in factories anymore. They want to control the factories, but that's not really what it's about. When they say they want to control the means of production, the means of production are literally the people. The means of production are parents. That is the means of production of capitalism. Because if you have children, you are going to be raising those children with capitalist values, and that in and of itself is going to reproduce the system of capitalism. That is what social reproduction theory means. It means the social system, the nuclear family, will continue to reproduce itself and the capitalist values that come with it until it is disrupted. And then it says, the function of the family. Marxists locate the source of gender oppression in the role of the working class family as a reproducer of labor power for capitalism and in women's unequal role in it. So, okay, so now we're getting to the question of women's liberation. Okay, so what we started the presentation at the top with this. What does it mean for women to be liberated from capitalism? It means for them to be liberated from their gender role, because what the left believes is that capitalism created the gender binary. The gender binary is men and women. Men went into the workplace where they had access to all the power and all the money. Women went into the home to do the unpaid labor of raising the next generation of proletarian workers. That was the role that was socially constructed by capitalism because they need the women to continue to produce workers in the form of having children and raising children in order to feed the system of capitalism. So men went into the workplace and they were the oppressed laborers. Women were sent to the home to literally produce the next generation of workers. That's what all this means. Women were oppressed in the home when they were relegated to these roles, and they weren't paid to be mothers. No one was paying them to have kids. That's what they're talking about here. So in order to liberate women from capitalism, you need to liberate women from their roles as mothers and caretakers within the nuclear family. This is where abortion comes in. This is why they push on abortion. They call it reproductive justice so heavily, because abortion is one of the ways that women can liberate themselves from motherhood. Does everyone understand this? Question: would it be fair to also say the people being the means of production also create private business, and that's another reason to seize the means of production? I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, because the family, because if you raise children in a capitalist if you raise children to believe in capitalist values, like starting a business, that in itself is going to reproduce capitalism. Would they make motherhood a paying job? I mean, I think they would. I think they do want the state to compensate people for having kids, but even a better solution than that is to abolish the system of oppression altogether. So the system of commies will raise the kids like in a commune? Yeah. I mean, when they abolish parental rights, the kids are going to belong to everyone. So remember, abolishing parental rights, every time you guys see attacks on parental rights, this is the origin point. This idea of social reproduction theory is where the attacks on parental rights comes from. And so, like, the alternate to this is there are no parental rights. All the kids belong to everyone. There are these family of choice, polyamorous, queer relationships and all that, in which the kids are raised outside of the nuclear family that is going to reproduce capitalism. Because if you break down the nuclear family and you start queering it to raise the kids outside of capitalism, that's when you're going to disrupt social reproduction theory. Our education system here is doing this and alienating kids from their parents. Exactly. Is this related to kids ratting out parents to the Soviets? Yeah, I mean, it could be related to that, but it's more so related to the schools trying to attack parental rights by changing the gender of the kids at schools and then not informing the parents. That's really what it's about. And then, is that where we stopped? Did we do another slide? I forget. All right, that's where we stopped. Okay, so I want to go back. I want to go back and I want you guys to listen to this from the beginning, all right? And I want everyone to listen for everything I just said and make sure you ask questions if you have them. What this is going to say is that essentially capitalism created the gender binary. The gender binary oppressed women by putting them in the home where they did the unpaid labor of birthing and raising the next generation of proletarian workers. That is essentially what this is going to say. It's going to be a little bit more wordy than that, but I want you guys to listen to this and I want you to be able to pick up on the themes, okay? And please tell me if you don't hear it, and we'll go back and we'll listen again. There's no harm in speaking up if you have questions, okay? I would rather you speak up if you have questions and give me the opportunity to answer them and give me the opportunity to make sure you understand it than to just move on. Nope, that's not correct. No. You specifically need to start listening more and learning. These people want to abolish the Constitution entirely. This has nothing to do with this. Whoever taught you this taught you wrong.
Focused on making commodities to be sold for profit. Labor power itself is commodified in the process, and it is the only commodity that is produced outside of the circuit of commodity production. Marxist social reproduction theorist Titi Bhattacharya says, if labor power produces value, how is labor power itself produced? If labor produces all wealth, who produces the laborer? What kind of processes enable the worker to arrive at the doors of her workplace every day so that she can produce the wealth of society? Many of these processes happen inside the home: eating, sleeping, relaxing, emotional care, play, study, etc. The home is a primary location for social reproduction, but many happen outside of it: education, healthcare, transportation, recreation, shopping, etc. This is the focus of social reproduction theory: the paid and unpaid activities necessary to create, maintain, and restore the commodity of labor power. We can delineate production and reproduction in various ways, but they cannot be fully severed from each other. Capitalism relies on both the labor used to produce commodities and the labor used to produce people. Mm-hmm. It integrates both profit-making and life-making into a single unitary system. Marxists locate the source of gender oppression in the role of the working class family as a reproducer of labor power for capitalism, and in women's unequal role inside it. And not just women, but gender nonconforming and LGBTQ people as well, as gender and sexual oppression affects all. Capitalism offloads social reproduction onto the working class by tasking women primarily with the reproduction, maintenance, and regeneration of the workforce, often while also performing waged labor. Unpaid, typically feminized caregiving labor is vital to the functioning of capitalism, which privatizes and atomizes the labor and the costs associated with raising, nurturing, and maintaining workers.
Capitalism privatizes the labor required to have and raise the workers. It's the issue of privatization that they're attacking. When we say abolish capitalism, what they mean is abolish all privatization. When they say privatization, they mean mothers raising children in a private household. That's what they mean. That's what they mean when they say the private nuclear family. It's not part of the collective. It's a private family with its own set of resources, and when you have a private family, some families are going to have more resources than others. The family, the nuclear family, this is why I say parental rights are a form of private property. The nuclear family is considered to be private property. The privatized family.
This is why the liberation of women and gender nonconforming people is predicated upon the overthrow of capitalism and its replacement with socialism.
The overthrow of capitalism means the overthrow of private property. If the nuclear family is considered to be a form of private property, if parental rights are considered to be a form of private property, that means they must be abolished in order to overthrow capitalism and usher in socialism. Does everyone understand? Did everyone just hear that? I know it's confusing because the language is flowery and academic, but that's what that all means. Let me know if you have questions.
Nancy Fraser said, a Marxist social reproduction theorist, capitalist societies have separated the work of social reproduction from that of economic production, associating the first with women and the second with men, primarily. They have remunerated.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard that before. I hadn't thought about that before. They're saying that women are responsible for the social production of society. Men are responsible for the economic production of society. That makes sense. What have I said? Capitalism created the gender binary that put men in the workplace where they had all the power and all the money, and women in the home doing the unpaid labor of raising the nuclear family. That is a separation of economic and social. I had never thought about it like that before. That's actually a really good way of putting it. Let's listen again. So, by the way, guys, this is anytime someone says to you that communism is just an economic system, capitalism is just an economic system, use this to say, no, capitalism is a social system and an economic system. It's both. Real communists see capitalism as both a social system, women reproduce the social system, and an economic system. Men reproduce the economic system. Of course, it doesn't work out perfectly like that in actual practice, but this is what they believe.
Reproduction theorist. Capitalist societies have separated the work of social reproduction from that of economic production, associating the first with women and the second with men, primarily. They have remunerated reproductive activity. They have remunerated reproductive activities in the coin of love and virtue, while compensating productive work in that of money. And back to Titi Bhattacharya. Because capitalism is a thing-making system, not a life-making system, these activities and these workers are severely undervalued. Social reproductive workers are the worst paid. They are the first to go. They face constant sexual harassment and often direct violence.
That means mothers.
The function of the working class family is to provide the system with workers. There's two other ways that the system gets.
Yo! The function of the working class family is to provide the system with workers. Oh. They say it out loud so beautifully. No. Never do this, Grandma. Never do this. Because what you're hearing are nuggets of truth that are covered in mounds and mounds of bullshit. This is how socialists recruit people, is they give you a nugget of truth and they say, don't you think this is a problem? We think this is a problem. This is objectively a problem. And then they say, here are all the reasons why capitalism caused this problem. And here's all the reasons we need to abolish capitalism in order to get rid of this problem. And that's where the bullshit comes in. So never, ever, ever buy into this. Never. You always have to remember that anytime it sounds to you like socialists are being reasonable human beings and they're like, we just care about alleviating human suffering and solving problems. You always have to remember that they're about to sell you a fucking mound of bullshit on top of it. And so do not give them any credit. Do not give them any of the benefit of the doubt. Don't do it. Just do not go down that road. Thank you, average person. I appreciate you. Thank you. How do we fight that? We inform people and we teach them the language. We do exactly what we're doing right now. Because the thing is, once people can see through the language, then they know what's going on. Now you can see through the language. You know how they sell these ideas. If you can learn how they sell these ideas, then you see through them. And that's when they stop being able to use language to manipulate you. Yeah, they say small, teeny tiny little truths and then manipulating people into conceding to lie after lie after lie after lie after lie. Exactly. Just listen to that last beautiful part again.
Direct violence. The function of the working class family is to provide the system with workers. There's two other ways that the system gets workers, through slavery and immigration. This means not only making babies, raising and educating them to be good workers, but replenishing existing workers on a daily basis by providing them with food, clothing, shelter, recreation, sleep, etc. Rather than being collectivized, socialized, and borne by the state or the capitalist class directly, these tasks have been individualized, privatized, and dumped onto workers themselves. Gender oppression did not exist in pre-class societies and only developed as societies became divided into classes.
Women weren't oppressed until capitalism was invented, guys. There was no women's oppression until capitalism oppressed all women.
Contemporary archaeology and anthropology have validated these key arguments made by Engels almost 140 years ago in The Origin of the Family, Private Property, and the State. Early human societies were classless and egalitarian. Marx and Engels called these hunter-gatherer and horticultural economies primitive communism. Women were able to combine parenting and productive labor in the home.
God, seriously? Seriously. They called indigenous societies where capitalism didn't exist primitive communism. I've never heard that before. That's hilarious.
These hunter-gatherer and horticultural economies, primitive communism. Women were able to combine parenting and productive labor in the home as there was no strict demarcation between productive...
Hang on. Patrick, why are you in my chat saying things that have nothing to do with what we're watching right now? Why are you continuing to say things that have nothing to do with what we're watching? I'm going to ask everyone, the point of this is not to ramble on about things that don't even make sense. The point is to watch the presentation, to learn from the presentation, to comment on the presentation. Please stop distracting people. And Autumn, that goes for you too. I don't want any more bullshit or I'm going to time you out for the rest of the fucking day.
And reproductive activities. Labor was divided by gender, but because women were central to production, systemic gender oppression was non-existent.
Well, if Patrick doesn't cut the shit, then he's going to get banned. He has now had a warning. He's going to get banned if he doesn't stop.
Class society changed that. Everywhere settled agriculture emerged, so did classes and class conflict. Thousands of years ago, from the Fertile Crescent to Mesoamerica and many places in between, the plow and advances in irrigation enabled societies to grow more food than they needed, the first surpluses. Tiny idle classes came to dominate the surpluses, produced by massive laboring classes. This is also when the first cops appear, the first defenders of wealth that isn't theirs. With class society, the family as we know it began to take form. The specific form of
the nuclear family did not come into being until capitalism was created. That's what he just said. Did everyone hear that, or were we off topic in the chat? This is why I tell people to stop fucking around in the chat. Again, what he's going to say is the nuclear family formed after capitalism formed.
Of wealth that isn't theirs. With class society, the family as we know it began to take form. The specific form of the family has varied in accordance with the mode of production. Just as gender roles are socially and not naturally constructed, the family...
Hang on, Grandma. Hang on. I need you to calm the fuck down. No offense. I know you're older. I probably shouldn't swear at you, but I need you to calm the fuck down, okay? I understand you probably have just had a breakthrough in your... Listen, I understand where you are right now, Grandma, because you've just had a breakthrough in your thinking about this, and a light bulb has gone off, and you've had your oh shit moment. Most of us in the chat have been through the oh shit moment, all right? The only solution to this is to get as many people to learn the language and to learn the ideas as possible. That is the only solution. That is the only way it's going to work, because the only way to see through the bullshit is to know exactly what they're arguing. We have to help as many people as possible learn the arguments that they make. If we can help other people to see through every time they're doing this thing where they're giving you a nugget of truth and they're covering it in a mound of bullshit to try to get you to buy into things that are lies, if people can see through the language, then they don't buy into it. But just got to calm down, breathe. We've all had that aha moment where we're like, oh shit, this is so much worse than we thought it was. And this is why I get pissed off at conservatives like James fucking Lindsay who lie to people all the goddamn time. Because it is so much worse than what people think. Anyway, I want to go back and just listen to this again.
With class society, the family as we know it began to take form. The specific form of the family has varied in accordance with the mode of production. Just as gender roles are socially and not naturally constructed, the family is a social institution.
Gender roles are socially not naturally constructed.
Not a biological necessity or an eternal form.
The family is a social institution, not a biological necessity or an eternal form.
Settled agricultural societies were needed. Settled agricultural societies needed women to bear more children to help out in the fields. And organizing into family groups enabled ownership and inheritance to be established.
Inheritance means generational wealth. That's what they mean. They want to get rid of generational wealth. Generational wealth is private property. Generational wealth is how some people accumulate vast amounts of more resources than other people. Grandma, I just told you, you need to calm down. Just listen. I cannot walk you through how to argue against this during the stream. That's not what we're doing here. We are listening and we are learning.
Society also brought a shift toward patrilineage and men as heads of household, which Engels called, quote, the world historic defeat of the female sex. Marxism, unlike patriarchy theory, recognizes that class society also brought the subordination of most men to a tiny minority. As production for exchange overtook production for use, work and home became separate spaces. Women were predominantly relegated to social reproduction and left out of the, quote, productive, profit-making economy. Under these conditions, sexual division of labor eroded sexual equality. The nuclear family is the engine of social reproduction. To maintain the family's supply of cheap, readily available labor power, gender, sex, and sexuality must be policed. Misogynist, homophobic, and transphobic ideas reflect and reinforce capitalist social arrangements. As Marx wrote, it's not the consciousness of men that determines their existence, but their social existence that determines their consciousness.
I'm so happy right now.
Monogamy, intended for women only, ensures that private property passes only to, quote, legitimate heirs.
Did you just give me an attack on monogamy in a presentation about Abolish the Family? Oh my God! Polyamory is one of the ways they plan on queering the nuclear family because they don't like that the nuclear family is a monogamous kind of permanent institution. And that's why they utilize polyamory to try to queer the nuclear family. I'm going to have to do a whole breakdown of this entire presentation. This is amazing. This is the easiest to understand. That we need to watch more of the Denver Communists. I say this every time we come back to the Denver Communists. I had a little voice in the back of my head just the other day saying, Carlin, you haven't checked in with the Denver Communists in a little while, because they do these presentations that are just the most beautiful, simplistic breakdowns of all the concepts. They do it in an interesting way with The Shining. Oh my God. Yes. Welcome to the land in which Carlin is validated for everything she's been screaming about for years and no one listened. This might be one of those. Do you guys remember the 6-hour socialism conference where I literally cried during most of the episode because I was like, I was right about everything and no one listened to me and now they're saying it all. We're about to get into another episode where I just cry the whole time because I'm so happy that I've finally been validated. Yep. Yep. The Denver Communists are a group of communists in Denver. Oh my God. And this has been sitting on the internet for 4 years. No one watched it. James Lindsay never talked about it because he has no idea this shit exists. Daniel! Thank you for the super sticker, Daniel. I appreciate it. Yeah, this video also validates that James Lindsay is wrong, which is just as important. Just as important.
Subsequently, moral rules formed to preserve monogamy. What might happen to the family under communism? Engels said communist society will transform the relations between the sexes into a purely private matter which only concerns the persons involved and into which society has no occasion to intervene. It can do this since it does away with private property and educates children on a communal basis.
Oh my
and
God!
In this way removes the two bases of traditional marriage, the dependence rooted in private property of the woman on the man and of the children on the parents.
I was right. I was right about everything I said. Yeah, I'm not even, you know what? Like, I'm not even going to bother making clips right now because I'm going to have to go back and clip this entire presentation and do a whole breakdown in my Substack. This entire fucking presentation is one giant clip. That's what this is. Communist society will transform the relations between the sexes since it does away with private property, including the nuclear family, and educates children on a communal basis. That means getting rid of parental rights, motherfuckers. Okay, not you guys. You guys are not motherfuckers. I'm talking to everyone who ever doubted me. And in this way, removes the two bases of traditional marriage. Thank you, Denver Communists. We appreciate you, Denver Communists. I know socialists better than every single person in conservative media. It's true. I know socialists better than many socialists understand socialists. It's true. Yeah, Reagan, you can make clips too. Everyone can make clips. Well, if you want to be a motherfucker, I suppose you could be. I'm not going to tell you who to fuck, you know? Oh my God, this is just so fucking beautiful. Oh, I need to listen to it again. I'm sorry. Please excuse me kind of having an intellectual orgasm live on the stream today. Can everyone just like excuse that? Because I'm so excited right now. This is the most turned on I've been in like months. No offense, Victor. I love my husband, but like I can't even.
What might happen to the family under communism? Engels said communist society will transform the relations between the sexes into a purely private matter which only concerns the persons involved and into which society has no occasion to intervene. It can do this since it does away with private property and educates children on a communal basis, and in this way removes the two bases of traditional marriage, the dependence rooted in private property of the woman on the man and of the children on the parents. After the 1917 revolution, the Bolsheviks enacted legislation that gave women the right to vote and to hold public office, the right to divorce on demand,
Oh my God!
Free abortion on demand, and paid maternity leave for 4 months before and after childbirth. They abolished the concept of—
This is laying out all of the ways in which communism liberates women from the gender binary and liberates women from the oppressive gender roles within the nuclear family. Everyone realizes that, right? This is talking about like the Russian Revolution, the right for women to vote and hold office, the right to divorce on demand, free abortion on demand, paid maternity leave, abolish the concept of illegitimacy, which is in regards to like children, repeal all laws criminalizing homosexuality along with laws regulating sexuality.
to divorce on demand. After the 1917 revolution, the Bolsheviks enacted legislation that gave women the right to vote and to hold public office, the right to divorce on demand, free abortion on demand, and paid maternity leave for 4 months before and after childbirth. They abolished the concept of illegitimacy. They repealed all laws criminalizing homosexuality, along with other laws regulating sexuality. Most of these gains were later reversed under Stalin.
Yeah, because these are Leninists. They don't like Stalin. Remember, Leninists usually do not like Stalinists.
Lenin wrote in 1919,
Yo,
quote,
Human Centipede. You outdid yourself finding this one, bro. You outdid yourself. This is amazing.
laws are not enough, and we are by no means content with mere decrees. The Bolsheviks recognized that a precondition for women's liberation was an end to their unpaid labor inside the family. So the revolutionary government launched a direct attack on the family by socializing social reproductive work. Trotsky writes, the revolution made a heroic effort to destroy the so-called family hearth, that archaic, stuffy, and stagnant institution in which the woman of the toiling classes performs galley labor from childhood to...
Yes, this is correct. Many socialists, many communists view Stalin as a traitor. They do not like Stalin. What they believe is that Stalin basically came along and fucked up everything that was gained via the Russian Revolution. They believe that Lenin is like the greatest person that ever lived, that the Russian Revolution is the greatest thing to ever happen ever, and that Stalin came along and screwed everything up. And Stalin was the one that like made it basically the public perception of like real socialism, real communism has never been tried sort of thing, because he took something that was working and then screwed it all up. That's what Leninists believe. There is an intellectual debate on the far left between Leninists and Stalinists, and most of them, at least the prominent ones, are Leninists. Yeah, in their minds, communism would have been successful in Russia had it not been for Stalin. Yo, yeah, I agree. I agree. We were saying the same thing. No, they're using Stalin as the fall guy. They don't mind Trotsky. They actually don't talk about Trotsky all that much, but I don't get the impression that they mind Trotsky. I think they kind of believe that Trotsky was maybe the more rightful heir. But they do not like Stalin at all.
To death. The place of the family as a shut-in, petty enterprise was to be occupied, according to the plans, by a finished system of social care and accommodation. Maternity houses, creches, which are nurseries, kindergartens, schools. I had to look it up, so may as well pass it on to y'all. Social dining rooms, social laundries, first aid stations, hospitals, sanatoria.
Okay. I want people to listen to this list because, so one of the ways they're gonna abolish the nuclear family is by giving people places to go where they can execute the same functions of the nuclear family, but in more communal spaces. So, for example, we've heard Sophie Lewis and Emmy O'Brien, who are two current Abolish the Family activists, talk about the fact that they don't see a need for a private kitchen in your home. They want to get rid of the private kitchen. Why do they want to get rid of the private kitchen? Because families, nuclear families, bond around the dining room table. That's one of the primary ways in which families spend time together, is around the dining room table where mom makes dinner and then it's served and then they have to talk and all that. And so if you get rid of one of the primary family bonding experiences, which is consuming food around the dining room table, and you instead take that and you put them in the community, the community canteen, where like is basically a centralized location within the town where everyone goes to consume the food, but you do it as a community, as a collective, rather than as a private family, then you start to communize the community. And if you're getting all your food from the community canteen and you're not cooking in the private home, That means you no longer need a private kitchen. But what they're saying here is like they're trying to take other things like laundry facilities outside of the nuclear family and put them in a communal space where like you basically you don't privatize doing your laundry. You go to the laundromat or like whatever and you do it with the community. Does everyone understand that? So basically, they're saying they want a communal family, which means under the government, for the government. Yeah, I mean, they want to get rid of all parental rights. They want to get rid of care based on biological kinship. That's what community care means. This is the very definition of individualism versus collectivism. Individualism in this case is a reference to the private nuclear family. The nuclear household, the private nuclear household, is considered to be the individual position. The collectivist position is you are all part of a broader community, and it doesn't matter who your biological kin are, everyone is responsible for everyone else. Listen again.
In which the woman of the toiling classes performs galley labor from childhood to death. The place of the family as a shut-in petty enterprise was to be occupied, according to the plans, by a finished system of social care and accommodation. Maternity houses, creches, which are nurseries, kindergartens, schools. I had to look it up, so may as well pass it on to y'all. Social
Schools,
dining rooms, social laundries, first aid stations, hospitals, sanatoria, athletic organizations, moving picture theaters, etc.
Everything is communal. Social dining rooms, they said, what I said about the community commune, social laundry, social everything. Everything that you perform in the nuclear household is transferred into the collective community, in the social sphere. Yes, exactly. All those dystopian novels that you read were real. The dystopian novels were a warning. They're trying to really do it in real life.
The complete absorption of the housekeeping functions of the family by institutions of the socialist society, uniting all generations in solidarity and mutual aid, was to bring woman, and thereby to the loving couple, a real liberation from the 1,000-year-old fetters. The Bolsheviks understood that a victorious social revolution was the beginning, not the end, of the struggle to win women's liberation. Old customs and attitudes, the muck of ages, don't change overnight. New generations must grow up without the ideological baggage perpetuated by class society. But more importantly, backward ideas cannot change unless the backward social practices that produce and continuously...
Bro, I don't watch these people weekly. I watch these people almost every single day. I take like one day off a week. I've been doing this for almost 4 years. If you want to know why I'm going insane and why I might have a tone and attitude on the internet, just keep in mind that I've spent 6 days a week, almost every single week, for almost 4 years, watching this shit. This is why I have an attitude. This is why I have a tone. This is why I have run out of fucks. This is why I have lost my mind. This is why so many people think I have a fucking personality disorder. Because of this. Because it will drive you insane. I have pushed myself to the very brink to teach all of you what's really going on in the world. And I feel unappreciated, not by you, but by society at large. People don't understand the sacrifice that I've made for all of you. I used to be a normal person. Okay, many people have been watching with me. Many people have been here with me. Yeah. Yeah. So every time I yell, just remember, there's a reason why I yell. There's a reason. Yeah, I miss not knowing about this stuff too. I know you guys appreciate me. I know. I know. Everything's fine.
reproduce them change. Marxism gets accused of being class reductionist, of focusing on class at the expense of race and gender, of favoring struggles against exploitation over struggles against oppression. First of all, the socialist tradition is littered with chauvinists and mechanical thinkers who underrate, oversimplify, and relegate oppression to a side issue, independent of class struggle. Some say socialists should only raise gender and race blind, class-wide demands that appeal to the lowest common denominator. Some look to wealth redistribution as the solution. We have to fight these types at every turn. It is our responsibility as socialists to take up the demands of the oppressed and to demonstrate their oneness with the demands of the exploited. Since gender and sexual liberation has not been achieved in Stalinist and social democratic states, those who defend them as socialists have led to some to question whether socialism can actually liberate.
See, that whole dig about there being chauvinist people within socialism, that was a dig at Stalin. Everyone understands that, right? What we were talking about earlier? Look at this last slide. The socialist tradition is littered with chauvinists and mechanical thinkers who underrate, oversimplify, and relegate oppression to a side issue. That is a dig at Stalin, because these are Leninists and they hate Stalin. Now listen to him actually call out Stalin by name. No, that's not about National Socialism. They don't consider National Socialists to be socialists, okay? They consider National Socialists to be fascists. And we always need to, when we're watching the far left, guys, I know I have more dissident right-wingers than I ever have. You've got to put the National Socialist stuff on a shelf, okay? Because it's just not the same thing. It's not a one-to-one correlation. It has a different set of nuances. These people do not consider National Socialists to be any form of socialism. It's not something that even enters their mind because the Nazis were fascists, according to them. So no, they don't. This has nothing to do with National Socialism.
To demonstrate their oneness with the demands of the exploited. Since gender and sexual liberation has not been achieved in Stalinist and social democratic states, those who defend them as socialists have led to some to question whether socialism can actually liberate women, gender nonconforming, and LGBT.
So they also called out democratic socialist states because these are, the Denver communists are extremely far left radical revolutionaries. The Denver communists do not consider the Democratic Socialists or the DSA to be true socialists. The Firebrand Collective specifically, the Firebrand Collective does not allow its members to be members of the Democratic Socialists of America. It's like it's explicitly forbidden.
LGBTQ people. Some have concluded that feminism needs to be added on to Marxism, and that there are two fundamental structures in society, capitalism and patriarchy. This has caused great confusion.
No, those are the same thing.
Women's oppression does predate capitalism, but was handed down by previous forms of class society. An Australian Marxist from Socialist Alternatives, Sandra Bloodworth, says, if working class men are part of the patriarchy, how then can the working class unite to overthrow capitalism? This also leads to the idea that working class women must have to fight alongside the women who exploit them. By contrast, Marxism holds that women's oppression, gender oppression, sexual oppression, I've been kind of using those somewhat interchangeably, Marxism holds that gender oppression cannot be separated out from a general class analysis of society. Bolshevik Alexandra Kollontai said, the followers of historical materialism, another name for Marxism, basically, reject.
Hang on. So socialism and communism is one of the same. So why do they hate the DSA so much? Because the DSA does not, they believe that the DSA capitulates too much to capitalism. The DSA is not far left, according to, like, again, Democrats are not socialists. Democrats are neoliberals. They are the enemies of socialists. Progressives are not socialists. They're neoliberals. They are the enemies of socialists. Democratic Socialists of America, they might not consider them quite to be on the same level as neoliberals in terms of like their aversion to them, but they still basically say, you guys are way too close to capitalism. So real socialists denounce AOC. They denounce Bernie Sanders. They do not like them. They do not want anything to do with them because they believe that people like AOC and Bernie Sanders, even though a lot of people consider them to be far left, real leftists don't think that they are actual socialists because they're still too close to capitalism. And they're still profiting off of capitalism, and they're still existing in a capitalist system, and they're still pushing the ideals of capitalism, even if they get a socialist talking point in every now and again. And this is why, guys, this is why I'm so adamant to say Kamala Harris is not a socialist. She's not a communist. Real socialists and communists hate Kamala Harris. They denounce her, they protest her, they overtly say they're not going to vote for her. Well, to them, democratic socialists are capitalists, so they're the enemy. While progressives and socialists may share some of the same values, they're not the same. And it's not even that they share the same values. I mean, the real far left is so much more extreme than the progressives. So much more extreme. So what you get with progressives and Democrats is like, say you have the farthest left ideas up here. You have the real socialist and communist ideas up here. Some of their ideas, components of their ideas, trickle down. So it's like you get these onesie and twosie ideas that show up that are coming from socialism. Like I said, attacks on parental rights, gender ideology in school, anti-racist training, Kamala Harris talking about equity. These are ideas that have trickled down. So they're not the pure form that the real far left wants. It's not the pure form that the real far left is pushing for. It's a diluted version of that, just enough, just like the tiniest little nudge for the Democrats and the progressives to say, look, we're throwing you guys a bone. We know you can make our lives difficult. We're throwing you a bone. You guys make a lot of noise. You protest. You cause us problems, so we're going to throw you a teeny, teeny, tiny little bone. But that doesn't mean that they're actually socialists. It's just like it's a little bit of pandering just to try to temper down the bullshit. Does everyone understand that? The Democratic Socialists of America are not trying to overthrow the United States government. By sheer virtue of how they operate, the whole point of the Democratic Socialists of America is that people will vote in socialism. That's the whole point. Real socialists and real communists do not believe they're going to achieve their Marxist utopia through the American electoral system. They fundamentally want to abolish the American electoral system. They believe that true socialism cannot exist while the American system still exists. Does everyone understand?
To the existence of a special woman question separate from the general social question of our day. And Paul D'Amato wrote, Marxism seeks not to separate exploitation and oppression, but to show how they're connected and how the solution to one cannot be separated from the solution to the other. Socialism is not only a theory of the liberation of the working class, it is a theory of the liberation of the working class as the foundation for the liberation of all humanity. And not only from class exploitation, but from all forms of oppression. The class reductionist caricature of Marxism, which comes from critics and self-identified Marxists alike, is based on a misunderstanding of the primacy that Marx places on class. When Marxists say that something is a class issue, we don't mean that it's an issue of how much money a person earns or has, but that it results from social arrangements based on exploitation and class domination. This can't be resolved via more equitable distribution. It must be resolved through a struggle for power. A class analysis of oppression doesn't diminish it or dismiss it, but emphasizes its severity by revealing that it goes all the way to the root. Gregory Meyerson, another Marxist theorist, said, "The primacy of class puts the fight against racism and sexism at the center. The intelligibility of this position is rooted in the explanatory primacy of class analysis for understanding the structural determinants of race, gender, and class oppression. Oppression is multiple and intersecting, but its causes are not." Marxism has historically focused more on mode and
Grandma, I need you to just listen. I know that you've had your aha moment, but we've already gone over this. Like, you're reeling right now, and I promise you, we're trying to help you. This is not productive. You've just got to listen and take it in. We've covered how real socialists would govern in other places. We can't go into this today, okay? I'm not trying to obfuscate. I'm just saying, like, we've covered a lot of these questions before. The answers are out there, but, like, you need to breathe. Just focus in.
relations of production, then on the mode and relations of reproduction. Social reproduction theory aims to resolve that. Bhattacharya says, social reproduction theory represents an effort to develop Marx's labor theory of value in a specific direction. It's primarily concerned with understanding how categories of oppression, such as gender, race, and ableism, are co-produced in simultaneity with the production of surplus value. Oppression is theorized as structurally relational to and hence shaped by capitalist production.
This isn't really Kimberly Crenshaw. Yeah, Kimberly Crenshaw is the inventor of intersectionality. Intersectionality doesn't really have much to do with this. Let me just go back and listen again.
Race and ableism are co-produced in simultaneity with the production of surplus value. Oppression is theorized as structurally relational to and hence shaped by capitalist production rather than on the margins of analysis or...
All that means is capitalism creates all oppression in societies. Capitalism, private property ownership creates all hierarchies, therefore capitalism creates all oppression. Private property ownership creates all oppression. I didn't say no more questions, but you're spiraling and you're not asking questions that are relevant to the presentation.
Or in addition to a deeper and more vital economic process. So where do we go from here? What conclusions should Marxists draw from this understanding of social reproduction theory and gender oppression? Let's look at an often cited quote from Lenin's vital 1902 pamphlet, What is to be Done? Lenin said, "The socialist ideal should be the tribune of the people, who is able to react to every manifestation of tyranny and oppression, no matter where it appears, no matter what stratum or class of people it affects, who is able to generalize all these manifestations and produce a single picture of police violence and capitalist exploitation, in order to clarify for all and everyone the world historic significance of the struggle for the emancipation of the proletariat." So I want to break this down a little bit. So every manifestation of tyranny and oppression. Socialists must be the most intransigent fighters against oppression, and the first to show that the fight against oppression is integral to the fight for socialism. This puts us at odds with the economist and workerist trends that narrowly focus on economic struggles and workplace organizing. Marxists consider not only the oppressed, but all members of the working class to be revolutionary agents with a material interest in fighting oppression and exploitation, and a historic responsibility to do so. This puts us at odds with separatists and postmodernists who want each section of the class to, quote, stay in its lane and confront its oppression in isolation, no matter what stratum or class it affects. I take this to mean that we must oppose the oppression experienced by members of other classes as well. This means recognizing the progressive kernel in bourgeois feminism, for instance.
Bourgeois feminism.
To generalize
feminism.
to produce a single picture of capitalist exploitation. This is back to the one struggle, one fight theme. We must consider the totality of society. We must demonstrate that production and reproduction, oppression and exploitation are irretrievably intertwined. And the significance of proletarian emancipation. Nothing less will do. As Kollontai said, women can truly...
This is not about debunking them. This is not about saying they are wrong. This is about understanding them. Every ounce of energy you spend trying to debunk them is an ounce of energy that you will not spend understanding them. Just saying they are wrong, and even if you present the case that they are wrong, is going to change nothing. People have really got to start learning this. Debunking things that socialists say makes no difference. It will not change anything. They are winning. They are winning massively. You are losing. Going in and saying to them, you know, you're wrong for reasons X, Y, B, and Z, they're going to laugh at you. They're going to turn around. They're going to keep doing exactly what they've been doing, and they're going to continue to win. And then you might walk away saying, well, I tried to tell them, but they didn't want to listen. But, like, it just means that they're going to continue winning. What you need to do is learn what they believe from their perspective. And until you can do that, nothing you can say is going to change what they're doing. They don't care if you think they are wrong because we do not have the same values. Beautifully put, Maria. We do not have the same values. We do not have the same criteria for right and wrong. You thinking they are wrong means nothing to them. They think we're wrong. That's why they're doing what they're doing. We think they're wrong. They think we're wrong.
Women can become truly free and equal only in a world organized along new social and productive lines. We need a more expansive understanding of what constitutes class struggle.
I mean, yes, it can be, because you're in my chat and I'm asking you very politely to stop trying to debunk them, because every ounce of energy you put into debunking them is going to be an ounce of energy you do not put into understanding them. So yes, it can be denied, and it is being denied. I'm being nice, but if you don't follow my rules and follow the guidance I'm giving you, I'm not going to be nice anymore. There is a purpose to this. There is a method to my madness. If you want to do it your way, go learn this on your own.
As our comrade Jonathan Cunningham has provocatively asserted, Black Lives Matter is a labor movement. And back to Bhattacharya, who said, spaces of production of value at the point of production in the workplace, and spaces for reproduction of labor power in the home, and etc., may be separate in a strictly spatial sense, but they are actually united in the theoretical and operational senses. Reproduction, in short, is therefore a site of class conflict. If we take our lead from Marx himself, then it is utterly unclear why only the economic struggle for wages and benefits at the workplace must be designated as class struggle. Every social and political movement tending in the direction for gains of the working class as a whole, or challenging the power of capital as a whole, must be considered an aspect of class struggle. The working class can fight in the sphere of reproduction, but can only win in the sphere of production. The Russian Revolution, for instance, began as a bread riot led by women, but was won in the factories of Petrograd by workers' councils. Struggles outside the workplace often provide the spark, but to bring the system to its knees, workers must collectively withhold our labor.
Oh, you sent me a Rumble rant? I
so
apologize.
We need to weave together.
I apologize. I didn't see it. Yo! Thank you for I apologize. I thought I had it displayed on my screen, but I covered it up with my YouTube monitor. $100 from Guardianship over on Rumble. Thank you so much. Very generous. I really, really appreciate it. Hang on. It says Orwell, Urey, and other defectors warned millions of U.S. capitalists how dangerous socialists and their socialism is. As a capitalist that sold some stocks today, I appreciate you, Carlin, and your hard work. Guardianship, thank you so much for the really, really nice super chat. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for, again, coming over here and alerting me. I thought I had the chat up on my other screen and I would have seen it, but it was covered up with another window. So I'm really glad you came over here and told me about it, because you made my day. Thank you. It's not just the money, it's the thought and the appreciation. I thank you.
Political and economic struggles by raising political issues within our labor organizing and economic issues within our social movements. Most of all, we need to build combative, multi-gendered, multiracial, internationalist, working class revolutionary organization that can fight from and for a Marxist perspective and won't settle for anything less than overturning the mode of production.
All right, I guess that's it. So listen, guys, listen. We were gonna watch another Foucault. God, we're definitely not watching Foucault. I'll tell you that right now. We were gonna watch another Denver Communist presentation today, but I think that's good. That was one of the best, most clear Abolish the Family presentations that I've ever seen, and I've been watching Abolish the Family presentations for years. That was really, really good. There's so much to break down. I want to break down the whole thing on my Substack. I want to make clips of that. That was awesome. And there's really nothing else to say. And and we should just keep watching the Denver Communists from now on, because that was amazing. But what I want to say is, one of the reasons I want to stop now is that in about half an hour or so, we will be embarking on SpyStream. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break, and I want to make sure, if you want to be signed up for SpyStream, you have plenty of time to get signed up for SpyStream. SpyStream is available to people who are supporting my work on my main Substack, Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. It's available to people who are supporting on Locals. It's available to Patreon supporters. It's available to people who are Twitter subscribers. And it's available to YouTube channel members. If you are a supporter of my work on any of those platforms, you currently have the credentials for tonight's SpyStream. And might I say, to give you a little bit of a hint, if you liked today's presentation, there is a very decent chance that you will like the SpyStream tonight. Okay? Is everyone picking up what I'm putting down? If you liked today's presentation, and if everything goes according to plan, you will like the SpyStream tonight. Because SpyStream is when we go inside a live presentation, and we are going to be infiltrating live, and we are going to be watching socialists organize, and we're going to hear what they have to say, and we're going to record it, and we're going to put it out on the internet, and there ain't nothing they can do about it, because I have the private access credentials for their little meeting tonight, and we're going to be gathering together to do that in about half an hour. And you can find the credentials over on the Substack. Again, and if you're on Locals, if you're on Patreon, if you're a YouTube channel member, if you're a Twitter subscriber, you can find the post on whatever community you're on. And I will have so the streaming information is there, and you can find your information. If you are not yet a supporter, I definitely prefer supporting on my Substack. That's Carlin, KARLYN.substack.com. And you can sign up for $8 a month, $80 a year, and you can join us tonight. Carlin, did you see the DM I sent you of the map? I haven't seen it yet, Bob, but I will take a look, I promise. So we're going to have a great SpyStream tonight, guys. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to take a little break, and I will see all my super spies in about half an hour or so. Take care, guys, and we'll see you soon. Bye.